Hello Year 3, this is Mr. Harris and welcome to today's maths lesson. The date today is the 3rd of March 2021 and our learning objectives is to understand the difference between unit fractions and non-unit fractions. Our success criteria for today is to understand what the denominator and the numerator represent, to know what happens when the numerator in a fraction is increased, and to name the fraction represented by a shape or group. Before we start, as always, we have a fast five. We're going to do this one together, so grab a pencil and a piece of paper, and we have an ordering challenge. You have to put 3 numbers in the correct order, starting with the smallest. Here we go with the fast five. You need your paper, you need a pencil, and you need to be ready to put some numbers in the correct order. Smallest first. I'm going to give you 7 seconds for each question. We'll do the first one together, and then you have to do the rest by yourself. So here we go. Are you ready for the countdown? Here it comes. Okay, the first one, smallest phase, is going to be 5, 8, 11. Okay, great job, guys. Get your brains working this morning. Let's see how you did. Let's check the answers. Okay, pause the video and check your answers. Here is an example of a unit fraction. And I want you to see if you can figure out why we call it a unit fraction. Pause the video and have a think. Why is this a unit fraction? Okay, so the plan today is to try and figure out why we call this a unit fraction. Maybe you have some good ideas already, but let's try and explore this idea of a unit fraction. So this is 1/4. Let's have a look at some examples of 1/4. Here are 4 pictures that each represent 1/4. Can you pause the video and have a think what is the same about these pictures and what is different about these pictures? Some differences that you might have spotted are that the hole is a different type in each case. So we have a whole triangular shape, we have a whole strip at the top, and the bears represent a whole group. Something that is the same in each case is that we have selected only 1/4 in each picture. So why is this a unit fraction? Well, because the numerator is 1. In the pictures that we saw before, only 1/4 had been selected. So a unit fraction is a fraction with a 1 at the top. Using our fraction bars then, let's make some unit fractions. So it's very important when we're making unit fractions to make sure the numerator stays at 1. But we can increase the denominator, so let's increase the denominator. So we increased it to 2 there, so we have 1/2. Let's increase it again to 3. This is another unit fraction, 1/3. Let's increase it one more time to 4. And then we have another unit fraction, 1/4. So in each of these bars, a unit fraction has been shaded because the numerator in every case stays at 1. Taking these apart then and having a closer look, what is the same about them and what is different? Pause the video and have a think. Okay, so you might have noticed that in each case, what is the same about them is only one part of them has been shaded. What is different about them is that the whole has been split into a different amount of equal parts. So our first one is 1/2, then we have 1/3, and then we have 1/4. And these are unit fractions because there is a 1 at the top of the fraction. Here is the fraction 3/4. And I would like you to pause the video and have a think, why is this a non-unit fraction? Well, we're going to explore some non-unit fractions now, but the reason is that the numerator, the number on the top, is more than 1. So in this case, the numerator is 3, so this is a non-unit fraction. Taking a look then at some non-unit fractions, let's first of all increase our denominator to 3, but then if it's a non-unit fraction, the numerator cannot be 1, so we'll increase that to 2. And there we go, there is 2/3. Let's increase the denominator again to 4, and then let's increase the numerator to 3. So there we have 3/4. In each of these cases, the numerator is more than 1, so it is a non-unit fraction. Taking a closer look then at some of our non-unit fractions, let's have a closer look. What is the same and what is different about them? Pause the video and have a think. So a few differences is that the whole has been split into a different amount of parts. On the left hand side with the yellow we have 4 parts, on the right hand side with the orange we have 3 parts. Another thing that is different is that a different amount of parts has been shaded. Something that is the same is that in both cases more than 1 part has been shaded. So in the quarters 3 parts have been shaded, and in the thirds 2 parts have been shaded. So that is more than 1, which means it is that they are both non-unit fractions. So on the left, the yellow one, we have 3/4 because we have 3 parts shaded of a total of 4. And then on the right, we have 2/3 because we have 3 equal parts and 2 of them have been shaded. So these are non-unit fractions because in both cases the numerator is more than 1. Now we're going to make some wholes using fractions. So down at the bottom we already have a 1/1, so that is a whole. That pink bar at the bottom is a whole. But now let's make a whole out of some halves. How can we do that? Well, in order to make the whole we need 2 halves, so we're going to increase the numerator to 2. And there is a whole, 2 halves. What about if we increase the denominator to 3? We have thirds. How many thirds do we need to make a whole? We need 3. 3/3 make a whole. And what about if we have quarters? How many quarters do we need to make a whole? We need 4/4 to make a whole. So there are 3 examples of how we can make a whole using non-unit fractions. 2 halves, 3/3, and 4/4. So let's take a look at how we've made the wholes. We have 2 halves, 3/3, and 4/4. A way to think about that is that if your numerator and denominator are the same, then your fraction is equal to a whole. And these are non-unit fractions because the numerator is more than 1. Taking a look at our whole groups then, I hope you can see that we have put a circle around 1/4 of this whole group because we have divided the group into 4 equal parts and put a circle around one of the parts. So that's 1/4 of the group. But I would like you to pause the video and have a think about this question. How can we represent a non-unit fraction of a group? The example here is 2/4. How could we represent 2/4 of this group? Well, what we could do is we could draw a circle around 2 parts of the group. And for this example, we have 2/4, so we draw a circle around 2 parts. Now let's take a look at working with our counters. So grab your counters and we're going to take a look at splitting a whole group into thirds. This time let's get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll get 6 red counters and we want to split this group into thirds. So how many circles should we draw? 3 circles to split a group into thirds. and then we have to divide these counters equally into 3 groups, into 3 parts. So let's work systematically as we always do. Okay, so how much is 1/3 equal to? 1/3 is equal to 2 because we have 2 counters in each group. How about how much is 2/3 equal to? Well, in order to find that out, what we have to do is count how many counters we have in 2 groups. So let's count that. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2/3 is equal to 4. Good job today, guys, for sticking with me through the video. All the resources we used today are linked below, so you can play with the bar fractions if you want to. But there is an assignment on Teams, so do check that out, and good luck with that.